right. So I did my capstone experience project on culturally responsive music education. The focus of my project is how music educators can make their practice culturally responsive. For my abstract, I will discuss the need for culturally responsive pedagogy in music education through the following lenses: theoretical perspectives of culturally responsive pedagogy, the need for culturally responsive pedagogy in schools, the issues of traditional music curricula, and culturally responsive music teaching. So those are my 4 aspects of my paper that I'm going to be talking about. So first, what is culturally responsive pedagogy? In 2002, Geneva Gay said that culturally responsive teaching is using the cultural characteristics, experiences, and perspectives of ethnically diverse students as conduits for teaching them more effectively. The 3 divisions of the fundamental components for culturally responsive pedagogy are relationships, cultural competency, and critical consciousness. Relationships are about teachers who build healthy relationships with students, have taken time to know their students as dynamic beings who exist in many contexts. These teachers play an active role in the communal lives of students and treat students as competent individuals capable of academic success. In 2009, Duncan-Andrade, he commented about relationships, saying that at the end of the day, effective teaching depends most heavily on one thing: deep and caring relationships. Cultural competency is when teachers help students understand and appreciate their home culture, while also helping them learn multiple skills in diverse cultures other than their own. In 2016, Ladson-Billings commented on this, saying, "Culturally competent teachers take the time to learn about the cultures of their students." And the third component, critical consciousness. Ladson-Billings also stated about critical consciousness that it is socio-political consciousness, and it is the study of social and political complexities of personal, community, national, and international civic life. Teachers facilitate critical thinking, meaning-making opportunities, and scaffolding information. Student agency is allowed by allowing room for questioning what is being taught to them, and in turn learning about what matters to them. So now we're going to be talking about the need for cultural responsive pedagogy in terms of color blindness. So in 1997, McIntyre studied color blindness and said that white teachers who are unaware of racial dynamics cared about their teacher image and wished to be seen as a teacher who does not see color and is there for students regardless of race. So this is a problem because if you're not seeing people's identities, then how are you supposed to respond to their needs in the classroom? So it says to be colorblind means to be privileged enough to not have to think about how race plays a role in oppression. So now we're going to be talking about music education and how culturally responsive pedagogy can be used in music education. So this says music educators, as professionals, carry a responsibility for their students to reflect on what stories, cultures, and languages are being told through music curricula. Music education is vastly important. It is so important. And the purpose of this paper is not to discredit that importance. It is supposed to highlight the needs for change within our current educational system. So right now, problems with traditional music curricula is that it focuses on Western art music as a musical foundation. It outcasts all other forms of music, creating this us and them mentality between Western art music and all other forms of music. It's institutional and systemic racism through the primary focus on white cultural literacies. So us focusing only on white cultural literacies and only using other cultural musics as additive rather than integrative to the music curriculum, then we are creating an us and them mentality where the white culture is superior. Student identity, voice, and culture are not represented, excluding students from the intellectual music conversation. So, This is how we can be culturally responsive music teachers. Right off the bat, it's inherently reflective. Educators reflect on positionality in the classroom, how identities shape beliefs and practices, and seek to create an equitable classroom. So we're always constantly reflecting, we're critically reflecting on our practice. We contextualize music. We connect music to their cultural, social, and historical context and draw relationships between different music pieces. There is family and community involvement. We choose music which reflects our student identities and interest. And we are advocating for curriculum reform at a systemic level. So we really need to be looking at the systemic level, like our institutions that are teaching our students and our new music professionals what is important and how to teach music. So we're advocating for that reform. So this is an important quote by Hamilton in 2021. Teaching cultural music requires music educators to develop a mutual love for non-Western classical music genres, humility to explore music that is outside of their area of expertise, and faith that valuable musical learning can take place for both students and them. Okay, so in conclusion, teachers carry a responsibility to reform the way in which music curricula is presented to students in their classrooms. Teachers must develop a culturally responsive mindset and then actively reflect this mindset in their pedagogical practices. And how I am going to take this into my own teaching practice is I will choose music which represents a multicultural education with specific attention towards the identities of my students. I will engage students in critical conversation around the historical, social, and political context of musical pieces. I will be a learner and a researcher as much as I am a teacher, embracing the vulnerability needed to learn music beyond traditional curricula. I will include families of students in this process, and this goes beyond just the traditional music classroom. If you are teaching music in your gen ed classroom, or if you are doing after school music, right? All of these places are places where teachers can become culturally responsive in their music practice. Thank you so much. That is the end.